Before modern medicine, determining whether someone was truly dead wasn't as easy as it is today. Doctors had no ECG machines, no brain scans, just a stethoscope and their best guess. During the 18th and 19th centuries, diseases like cholera, smallpox, and tuberculosis struck fast, leaving patients in deep comas that mimicked death. Without the technology to confirm if a person was truly deceased, many were declared dead when they were actually still alive. It didn't help that Victorian burials often happened within 24 to 48 hours of death, especially in hot climates, to prevent the spread of disease. But what if the dead person wasn't actually dead? As horrifying as it sounds, there are recorded cases of people being buried alive. Some graves, when later exhumed, revealed scratch marks on the inside of the coffin lids, and as word of these gruesome discoveries spread, so did the fear. To prevent such a terrifying fate, inventors across Europe and America designed a variety of safety coffins. These were special burial chambers equipped with escape mechanisms, breathing tubes, and even bells. One of the most famous was the safety coffin with a bell, patented in 1829 by Dr. Johann Gottfried Taberger. It featured a rope inside the coffin attached to a bell above ground. If the person awoke, they could pull the string, alerting the cemetery caretaker. Other designs were even more elaborate. Some included spring-loaded lids that would pop open with movement. Others had ventilation pipes to provide fresh air, while the deceased waited for rescue. But these devices weren't just theoretical. Some wealthy Victorians paid to be buried in safety coffins just in case. Which raises the question, did anyone ever actually ring the bell? There are stories, some verifiable, others more like urban legends, of people saved by safety coffins. One of the most famous cases occurred in 1885, when a young woman named Essie Dunbar was mistakenly buried alive in South Carolina. A day after her funeral, her body was exhumed so that her late-arriving sister could say goodbye. When the coffin was opened, Essie sat up and smiled. The shocked gravediggers fled in terror, convinced they had just witnessed a resurrection. Another case from Germany tells of a man who installed a breathing tube in his family tomb. Years later, a cemetery worker heard screams coming from inside. When they opened the tomb, they found the man alive, but barely. He had collapsed from exhaustion after trying to signal for help. These cases only fueled the public's paranoia. But were safety coffins actually used as much as people believed? Or were they more of a marketing gimmick? Despite their eerie appeal, safety coffins were not widely adopted. For one, they were expensive. Only the wealthy could afford to install a bell or breathing system in their graves. And while stories of premature burials exist, no confirmed case of a safety coffin actually saving someone has ever been recorded. Many rescued cases were exaggerated or completely fabricated. By the early 20th century, improvements in medicine and embalming made the fear of being buried alive less common. Doctors developed better ways to determine death, and autopsies became standard practice before burial. Eventually, safety coffins faded into history, but the fear of premature burial never fully disappeared. So, were safety coffins an ingenious invention, or just a symbol of mass hysteria? And more importantly, if you lived in the Victorian era, would you have purchased one, just in case? Let us know in the comments. And if you love exploring history's strangest mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more from the whispers of the past. Because sometimes, the past refuses to stay buried.